Welcome to the SmartFlow podcast presented by Jotform, where we feature top leaders sharing their smart solutions in business and life.
Hi, Chad Franzen here. I'm one of the hosts of the SmartFlow podcast, where we feature top leaders in healthcare. This episode is brought to you by Jotform Enterprise, which is a HIPAA-friendly no-code platform that empowers healthcare organizations worldwide through custom forms, e-signatures, and more. Their solutions enhance patient and provider experiences by streamlining intakes and automating administrative tasks, all in a secure environment. A great example of this is Body Brave. They consolidated 5 separate platforms and replaced them with Jotform Enterprise. They obviously saved money, but also saved 120 hours of staff time in the first 6 months with Jotform's data collection and reporting tools. Popular use cases for healthcare organizations include digitizing forms, replacing paper-based processes, collecting e-signatures, and much more, so they can ultimately focus on delivering exceptional care. It's also very easy to implement. I've even used Jotform myself, and it was really simple, even for someone not technically minded. Learn more by going to jotform.com/enterprise. My guest today is Angelia Caballero. She is the creative marketing director at Patriot Ambulance Service, where she leads community outreach, sponsorships, and engagement initiatives. With 19 years of design experience and 15 years in marketing, she works closely with community leaders and foundations to build strong relationships and give back to the areas they serve. She is passionate about making a positive impact and aligning Patriot Ambulance's mission with their community involvement efforts. Hey, Angelia, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, tell me, how did your career path lead you to become creative marketing director at Patriot Ambulance?
Well, it started about 2.5 decades ago. I started out in fine arts. I did murals and like textile art and stuff. But after 9/11, everything kind of pivoted in my career. So I ended up going back to school. I went for initially for interior design, and then recession hit, and I went back to school again for graphic design. And that's kind of where everything really kind of took off for me. I did probably about 8 years in product development. It was one of my favorite things to do. I worked for a collegiate company that did accessories for just about every school across the entire U.S. And so after the pandemic, I did another pivot in my career as I left that company and I began looking for a new home, I would say. I found myself here at Patriot Ambulance in 2023, and it was the first time I had done marketing for anything in the medical field. And I would say I'm like medical adjacent because my spouse has been in the medical field for 3 decades. So I've heard everything as he talked about it, and he was military too. So a friend of the first responders. They're on our front lines. But so I knew a little bit about it, but it wasn't until I started working here that I really got immersed in it. And one thing about Patriot is our owner. He is prior military. He's also retired paramedic and deputy for our county sheriff department. And his passion is really about giving back to the communities that we serve. We serve 7 different counties here in Michigan. But that service goes beyond our state lines. We've transported patients down to the Cleveland Clinic. We've taken them as far as North Carolina for their treatments. Everything is patient first. Everything is about that patient care, making sure we give top care to our patients that they know, whether it's an emergency or a non-emergent transfer, that they are taken care of. They are in good hands. And our training for our staff is top notch. We have an education center as well that we do all of our training at. And it is, top rated for all EMS in the area. Our deputies and the staff at our sheriff's department get their training there at our facility as well.
So when it comes to doing creative marketing for an ambulance service like Patriot Ambulance, what are some things that go into that? And maybe just take us through a typical day.
So it's a bit different than what I did before. Mm-hmm. Before it was more product based. This is more service based. So my focus is my mission is for Patriot is to make sure the community knows that they are safe. If they are in an emergency, those are the ones that, you know, they're all ready to go to, but we hope, never happens. We don't want anybody hurt, but when our people are ready to go, they're there, they're calm, they're collected. We want them to know that they're in good hands. They can relax. They know that they're going to be taken care of. Many times if there's an accident, they have a family member that might be next to them. Often they might be worried about that family member. We want them to know we got them taken care of. We're going to focus on you, make sure you're okay, get them the care that they need, get them to the next step in that care, which is, the hospital and the ER. So the mission for me has really been to communicate that passion of, from our owner, Jeff York, to the communities that we serve and letting them know we're here. Because often ambulance companies, at least here in the northern areas and northern states, are independently owned. So that means we are not funded by the taxpayer dollars like a fire department or police department is. So we want them to kind of think of us like a police. They call and they're just there, right? So they call 911. We're just there. We're going to take care of you. We're dependable. And we also give back to our communities that we serve in many different ways, which, my department is heavily involved in.
So when I guess for lack of a better word, a customer, a patient calls 911, they don't have the choice of ambulance services. It's just up to you to communicate with them like you're in good hands with us.
So, yes and no.
Okay.
So, they can request, but obviously if it is emergency, like life threatening,
you're probably not thinking about it.
Did you break up? Did I break up?
No.
Oh, okay. If it's life threatening, it is, the first ambulances there, whether it's us or one of our competitors, obviously. But if it's a non-emergent, 911, which often happens like with home care, right? A caretaker gets there, whether it's a therapist or a nurse or somebody to the home. And a lot of times it's with the elderly, the geriatrics. There might be a dementia or a memory component in there. And anything small with them, they can get sent to the hospital. So, those caretakers could potentially call and request us. They could call, we do have a dispatch line that's tied into our, the county 911 services. So they could request us. But generally, if it's life-threatening, we don't care who gets there. And we often will find, ourselves on scene with our competitor, and they work, which is really wonderful. They work right alongside each other in tandem, like they are on the same team, but different companies. So
how has, or what is some maybe unique challenge that's presented by doing marketing in the ambulance service industry?
So I would say I kind of find this with print material, right? So, I do all the digital and everything, which is easy. It's just, it's either recruitment or it's brand awareness and community based. But with the print material, it's kind of outside of recruitment. What do we do, right? Because we're not like distributing these like they used to, probably 30 or 40 years ago. We're not hanging them on door handles and stuff. So that would be probably one of my biggest challenges is, I know we need some stuff, but so what we kind of have been doing is outside of recruitment is just more informational because we do service a lot of skilled nursing facilities. And so it's just to kind of highlight the different care that we have. Under Patriot, we have a few different divisions. We have our wheelchair division, which is a non-emergency medical transport, which gets patients to like dialysis and stuff. So I will share with them about that, about our team of caring staff members that are there for them. They're all BLS trained. And then we have our medical transport, which is going to be by stretcher, which is another thing I've learned by being in this industry, all these different things that they can do. So we have the non-emergency stretcher. And then we have emergency services, which is obviously the 911. And then we have under the Patriot umbrella, we also have two other divisions. One is our American Training Institute, which is our education center, where we train EMTs and paramedics. And then we have a community paramedic, a SORTS community paramedic program, which we have with one of our local hospitals, which treats patients that are discharged from the hospital to help those hospitals keep their ratings up, to help keep that patient from getting readmitted. So it helps them to stay home. So that's, the goal is to work alongside those medical providers at the hospital. And so with that kind of material is more informational. With us to maybe the skilled nursing facilities is informational. But then when I go over to our medical training side, it is informational. It's also just like any school, there's going to be financial component there. We're going to talk about our educational staff, the cumulative years of training that they all have. I think the head of our education has been in the medical industry for over 30 years. He's a nurse. He was a paramedic. He's been an instructor for a decade and a half or so. We have some others that have been in the medical field, paramedic, EMS for over 40 years. So we have just a wealth of knowledge and experience from our educational staff, but also our leadership staff as well. So I try to capture all that and put it in on those material to let them know what they're getting when they get Patriot.
Nice, very nice. What role does community engagement play in your
Huge.
efforts?
It is very, I mean, it's massive. Last year, our department had organized about 150 different events. And when I say 150, that is like everything, encompasses everything. So it encompasses our sponsorships that we work with, the different local foundations. It is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Flint City Bucks. They're a semi-pro soccer team. They bring in players from all over the world. We are one of their partners, so we do all of their standby for dedicated standby for all of their games. Our local high schools, we partnered with them, so we do dedicated standby for them. We do Justmacker, which I know is kind of a national thing, so we work with them. We work with our local hospital foundations for Children's Miracle Network. We do educational events, touch of trucks. We do presentations at high schools. Where we make sure we are educating this next generation. We even do educational all the way down to 5-year-olds. So we water all the way down. We teach about CPR, about awareness. So for those young kids, how to recognize if mom or dad or grandma isn't waking up, what do you do? So we do really a wide variety and just an array of different community efforts and outreaches just to not just for brand awareness, but to connect with everybody out in the community, to let them know we're here for them. And those community leaders and, the teachers and our vocational education centers. We actually have a presentation next week that we'll be going and speaking with some soon-to-be graduates about what it's like to be an EMS. And when I do these, also, I take the crew with me. So next week, we'll have 2 young EMTs that are going to be talking to the students about why they chose EMS, what it's like for them. So it's been a very rewarding job. So.
Yeah, I would imagine. Very interesting. So when when you guys partner with a school district or whatever for the locals for a sporting event and your ambulance is there, that's marketing in and of itself, or do you do more than just having the ambulance there?
Yeah, we do. Our crews. So the crews that we use for our events, we have a team within the team. So I have probably about 20 go-to crews that I go to for these events, and they've all kind of, first of all, they all have a huge passion for the community. So they are just perfect representatives of Patriots. So they love the community, love to engage with them. So, not everybody, is an extrovert or, a
Hmm.
lot of introverts there, but they love to just talk to the community. So when they're at the game at halftime, they might open up the ambulance and let the kids come in and explore. And a lot of times, it's great for kids to get that exposure to that is a non-emergency. So it helps them to be, kind of comfortable with them. So if something did happen, they're not scared. They're already familiar. They recognize the uniform, and it's just rewarding for our crews too, because the situations that they go in very often is high stress and emotional. So, they've witnessed some pretty terrible things that can take a toll on their psyche. So these are kind of a way, an outlet for them to kind of get a refreshment of why they chose this and what they're doing.
So I'm guessing, given the way you've described some of your marketing efforts, that your KPIs are probably different than retail marketing or whatever.
Yes.
How do you kind of measure the success of your marketing initiatives?
So one way we do it, obviously we just do full on donations, right? We do a lot of in kind, and that's kind of where I start to kind of balance it out with. Um, Also, just a lot of our stuff is word of mouth. But the in kind donations is kind of where I kind of measure it. Our satisfaction rates with our customers. We regularly push out, for reviews to get feedback. We always are craving feedback. We want to know how our crews are doing, how's our customer service, what kind of impact are we having out there. So our ratings are really where I start to see that, because there's not really dollar amount attached to it, right? So I mean, I know how much I'm spending on that, but our in-kind donations, which end up balancing, and we get, whether it's a sponsorship package back or something, so that kind of offsets and it helps to cover some of that marketing cost, because of the nature of our business, we want to be associated with those community members and those community leaders and the organizations and stuff in our area. So that's really, when I start talking about the KPIs and the ROIs, that's how
Mhm.
I'm having to bring it together. So,
So you're creative, you're in charge of creative marketing. What does creativity look like in your role?
um, I would say the same as anything else. It's got to be captivating image. It's got to pull your attention. It's got to grab the attention. The message in today has got to be direct and straight to the point, that microwave marketing. Um, when we're doing stuff, I try to make sure the image and whatever graphics there is it's going to grab their attention. It's got to be vibrant. I am one for colors. I'm just a graphic snob, I guess. Um, I want it to look good. It's got to, represent what the vision of our owner is, and it needs to capture the attention of the audience, and it needs to get that message across clearly. I try not to, bog it down with too much words. Lately, though, we've had some of the stuff we've been involved with. We were at a couple of award ceremonies recently, so they were kind of long, but I was thanking a lot of people for it. So um, it's going to be the same as I did with product design. It's going to be the image. It's going to be the verbiage and what the message says, and it's got to be clear. And don't leave them wondering, what does this even mean? It's got to be clear. So.
I can tell that your job is rewarding for you, and you're pretty passionate about it. What would you say is the most valuable lesson that you've learned in your role at Patriot Ambulance?
um, I'm going to say the lessons I've learned from our EMS crews, our first responders, because almost every event I do, I work with them. Last week, I worked in an event with two paramedics, and I always, that research comes in. And so every time I'm with them, I start asking, why are you here? What is it you love about it? I start rapid firing all these questions. And it's just they love the love that they have for the communities and the passion, and that they are just caretakers, right? They want to take care of somebody. And so it's just spills over. And so, it just makes it that much easier for me to do what I do. And, I touched 60 events last year. This year is going to be 80. So it makes it worth it. It's a lot of time involved, but it's worth it, knowing that I hear all the positive back from the community, and then I hear it from the crew. So I feel like I'm doing the right thing if I'm getting everything back from all of them, that they're, enjoying it, and they're hearing, positive feedback back from the community too.
Since this is powered by Jotform, this podcast which is about creating efficient workflows. What do you find to maybe be the biggest bottleneck in one of your organization's processes or workflows?
That might be because my department is so small, but then
more of
we
an
have
operational question.
Yeah, I would say it would be there. I know in EMS in general, so I guess it would be that would have to answer the question, because in my department itself, I don't really have that. But I do see this in the medical field, especially since the pandemic, is the work and the people, the inventory on workers, I guess is the only way to say it, is low. They are just short-staffed across the board. And so every EMS company, and I from the research I've done, it's a national shortage. So it's really, just kind of getting the word out that, if you are interested in being on the front lines, if you care, you want to be, kind of a caretaker for the, fellow human, first responder might be the way to go, whether it's fire department, EMS, or police, that we need you, So and that's really what I've been really pushing out. We actually have a campaign getting ready to roll out, a campaign series that we're going to be pushing that out as well, because we just, we need people. We need people there to respond to the calls. And I just can't express that enough, that, if you feel feeling led to this career, to go ahead and try it. So
yeah, nice. I have one last question for you, but first, where can you point people to find out more about Patriot Ambulance Service?
Yeah, so we are all across all the socials, but if you go to our website, it's www.patriotambulance.net. We have all of our information there. If there happens to be anybody local to the southeastern Michigan or mid-Michigan area, they can go there to see what positions we have open. I will say, make sure you do .net. There's a patriotambulance.com out of Philadelphia, so 2 different states.
Okay, good to be aware of. Hey, last question for you. Do you have maybe a favorite tool or app or software that you use professionally or personally that you found particularly valuable for you?
I'm an Adobe person. I love my InDesign. Just the basics, InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator are just my go-tos, but I utilize, the software online as well that is there for the social media and stuff. Just, like the MetaSuite and stuff. But as far as design software, I am just the basics. I have a young designer in my family that keeps trying to get me to do something else, and I'm like, I've been doing this for too long. I can't. It's just my go-to.
Yeah, stick with what works. Hey, Angela, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much for all of your time and your great insights. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Flow podcast. We'll see you again next time. Be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes, and go to jotform.com/enterprise to learn more.